Coming up, the Oath Keepers founder has been handed down the heftiest prison sentence so far out of people who partook in January 6th. How long he will sit behind bars. And a major victory for Elon Musk as his company Neuralink gets the green light from the FDA to study brain chips in humans. The rundown starts now. This is Straight Arrow News, bringing you unbiased, straight facts. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kara Rucker. Oath Keepers founder Stewart Rhodes was sentenced to 18 years in prison Thursday for his role in the January 6th Capitol riots. It's the longest sentence anyone has received so far in the hundreds of January 6th cases. Rhodes was the first of over a dozen people who have either been convicted of or pleaded guilty to seditious conspiracy to receive their punishment. Another Oath Keeper was sentenced to 12 years later in the day Thursday. Late last year, Rhodes was found guilty of orchestrating a week-long plot to disrupt the transfer of presidential power leading up to January 6th. After his sentencing, attorneys for Rhodes maintained he and his fellow Oath Keepers have been scapegoats for the riots.
We stand firmly behind Stewart Rhodes. We don't think he's a threat to society. We don't think that at all. And, absolutely he has a right to free speech. And none of us have ever tried to tell Stewart what to do. I mean, he's been able to speak freely all during this time.
More Oath Keepers are set to be sentenced later today and next week. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is on the brink of impeachment this morning. In a unanimous vote Thursday, a Republican-led House Investigative Committee recommended impeaching Paxton on 20 counts, including bribery, unfitness for office, and abuse of public trust. Paxton has been under FBI investigation for years over accusations that he used his office to help a donor. He was also indicted on securities fraud charges in 2015, but has yet to stand trial for that. In a statement responding to the impeachment counts, Paxton suggested the investigation was a political attack. Paxton described the committee's findings as hearsay and gossip. The Texas State House could vote on the recommendation as soon as today. If the House impeaches Paxton, he would be forced to leave office immediately. An Indiana doctor who gained national attention after she talked publicly about giving a 10-year-old an abortion has been reprimanded by the state's medical licensing board. She was also fined for violating federal and state patient privacy laws. Dr. Caitlin Bernard is allowed to continue practicing medicine in Indiana, the board ultimately deciding Dr. Bernard did keep the 10-year-old girl's identity protected and didn't realize her remarks would gain so much attention following the overturning of Roe v. Wade, when abortion became one of the nation's top debates. The intense training program for Navy SEALs has been under investigation for a year following the sudden death of a sailor who died during training week. That investigation has found what is described as widespread failures in medical care and poor oversight. The nearly 200-page report compiled by the Naval Education and Training Command concluded that Navy SEAL candidates have been put at significant risk because of a poorly organized and poorly led training week that puts a trainee's body under intense pressure. The program tests a person's physical and psychological strength while enduring water competency tests, something that 50 to 60% of candidates can't complete during the training's Hell Week. The investigation also found there is an increased use of performance-enhancing drugs because candidates are trying to make it through the training program. But those drugs are increasing the risk of injury and even death. The report is recommending a series of changes in procedure and staffing. A new U.S. study suggests 1 out of every 10 people are getting long COVID after an Omicron infection. That's lower than the estimate health officials previously thought earlier in the pandemic. Long COVID is a mysterious condition where health problems persist for months or even years after even a mild case of COVID-19. According to the study, there are about a dozen symptoms that most distinguish long COVID. Fatigue, brain fog, dizziness, and loss of smell and taste are a few of those symptoms. Little is known about what causes long COVID, how to treat it, or even diagnose it, which is why this study was conducted to try and better understand the mysterious prolonging of COVID. A huge step forward for Elon Musk's Neuralink. The FDA has given the okay for the company to conduct its first ever in-human clinical study using its brain implants, which are meant to help patients with severe degenerative diseases like ALS and eventually regain their ability to communicate by moving cursors and typing with their minds. The clinical trial is not yet open for patients to apply for. Neuralink previously faced multiple hurdles from the FDA, with many skeptical to ever see in human trials. The FDA's approval is a major win for Musk and the future exploration of brain chip technology. These are your top stories. Thanks for joining us for the rundown. We're on a mission to bring back trustworthy journalism by serving only you, not an agenda. Be sure to check out more of our work at straightarrownews.com. And you can also find the latest rundown episodes available as a podcast across streaming platforms. We'll see you back here next week. Until then, I'm Kara Rucker. Have a great day.